What's up, everybody? Thank you for tuning in. We are now at episode 22 of Conversations with a Martial Artist. Thank you for joining me. My guest today is Bilat Shaista, and we're going to be diving into the world of boxing for a change. This is our first episode with a full-time boxer. Bill is a really experienced guy, loads of experience as both a fighter and a coach. He was the semi-pro London and Kent champ until he retired fairly recently, a couple of years back. He now coaches out of his own boxing gym, Bil Sha Boxing in central London, and he also runs Undisputed Sports Promotions, a new fight promotion I've had the pleasure of fighting on once, which is fantastic, a real good opportunity for people that want to get into the competitive world. So we talk a ton about that today. I will sit back and let you enjoy the rest of the conversation. Please don't forget to support him online. I've got all of the links to the various things that we discuss in the bio. Enjoy. Bill, thank you very much for having me down here again. Much appreciated. Always good to see you. It's a wicked place you got down here as well. We were just talking about it off camera as well, like the artwork and the setup. Where you are as well, your location's wicked. I mean, it's a cool facility. You said you've been here a couple of years now.
Just coming up to a couple of years in September. It'll be 2 years.
Ah, sick. Yeah, I love it. I wish I was a bit more local to come down here.
That's a shame.
Yeah, it is a bit of a schlep. Yeah, no, not yet. So for people that don't know you, maybe it would be useful to just run through a little bit about your background. Obviously, we'll talk mainly boxing, as that's sort of your thing. But yeah, maybe if you would just want to sort of run through a bit about your career and stuff, give us the highlights.
Cool. Well, try not to bore you. So, so I love boxing. Boxing, just like yourself. You know, combat stuff. It always fascinated me. And when I was growing up, I used to watch Mike Tyson a lot.
Nice.
That guy's cool. You know? That guy's cool. I want to do some of that. And those days, there wasn't a lot of amateur boxing clubs around. Okay. So I took up amateur boxing. It was difficult to get into the team and so on. I didn't really progress much because of the coaching style, if you like. As soon as I punched the bags and the pads, I was like, wow, this is really
feeling
good.
It.
Yeah. So I got into it from a young age, and then I stopped. I stopped because there was no development progress or anything like that. And but it was always my passion. Went about my business and came back when I was in my late 20s, I'll say. No, not late 20s, mid 20s. And I just continued boxing. I started doing white collars. And from white collars, one day I get a call from this man and he said, would you ever turn pro? And I said, no, unfortunately, because by that time my life had progressed in other parts so much that it wasn't realistic. So I went into semi-pro boxing, they call it. It's like white collar, but you do get paid.
Yeah. Better.
I thought I'll take that anyway, you know. And it just came back to me, so I couldn't really do a high level of professional boxing. So that's my background. For the last 15 years, you know, I've always been boxing, and I stopped fighting a couple of years ago because I'm getting old now. And here we are, basically.
Well, you had a good run of it. You're being fairly humble there because you got some nice shiny belts hanging up on the wall over there. I've seen. Like you've done all right for yourself.
Yeah. I mean, it took me a while to get into it. Good thing was I found myself good coaches. So it was, like I say, an amateur boxing. You go into a club and not all coaches are going to open their arms out and say, hey, here you are, Bill. Thanks for coming in. Let's get you going. There is a lot of people might not agree or might agree with me, but sometimes I personally think, and I'm quite upfront about it, that amateur boxing is handpicked.
Right.
You know, pick the kids that are good and they'll get you the championships, except, you know, developing the ones that need a bit of development.
Yeah, you know? I can see what you mean, where you've sort of got them shining stars with a bit of natural talent, and then all the attention sort of goes there, and everyone else is just sort of doing stuff in the background. It's like, you guys go, I don't know, hit pads, and these guys get the training and the focus.
Exactly.
Yeah, it's pretty common with a lot of combat sports, I think. I mean, I guess obviously it's very gym dependent and like sort of what the setup is and what people want as well.
Yeah.
But it's very easy, I think, for gyms to focus on like the competitive side and like the real like the stars, and sort of tailor things around that.
100%.
But yeah, it can be a dicey way to go. Because the athletes and the gym stars and the fighters don't typically be the ones that pay the bills.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, and that's another thing. Obviously, is how much you want to put in. So at that time, when I was doing the amateur boxing, I was quite young, and I thought, you know what, I want to be Mike Tyson, which is not going to happen, obviously. But
you're a few weight classes away.
Yeah, I think so. I'm never going to get to heavyweight, and I've always been featherweight, by the way. And one thing I did decide at that time, although it was really, really early, is that one day I want to open up my own gym.
I love that.
Yeah, and it's just stayed with me. What we do here is, I would say, really different, and that's why we've been successful for almost nearly 2 years now. We've got a nice bunch of members and kids, and we're affiliated with England Boxing as well. So we just had our first London Schools champion.
Oh, cool! Actually, I saw that on your Instagram. Yeah.
He was on he was in the national semi-finals yesterday. Unfortunately, he lost that one. But he fought a very good, experienced boy. So yeah, that's our journey so far.
Well, that's wicked, yeah. And I suppose that's just sort of it. Like, it's just about keeping going. It's interesting that you knew, like, you wanted to set up a gym quite early on, because it tends to be, you don't get that many people. You get a lot of people that are quite into it, but very few are actually like early on. Yeah, like, this is it for me. Like, I know where I want to go with this.
Yeah, it was important to me because, like I say, I thought I was an okay boxer, but when you're young and you go through that. How can I say it? You go through these situations where, like, you've turned up to a club. I'm talking about my own personal experience as well. But I think I speak for others that don't really speak out, and you're sat down and, you want to work on your footwork, but, no one's really developing that footwork for you. So one thing about our club here is that we've got various trainers. It's not just one trainer that you see every day. One will focus on your technical ability and so on, and you've probably met some of them here. And it comes back from the days of them coaching me. So a couple of the coaches here used to actually coach me.
They're your coaches as well.
My coaches, for about a good 10 years, I'll say.
Oh, well, that's probably a good test whether they still turn up there.
Yeah, there you go.
Can't have been that awful.
No, I hope not.
Oh, but yeah, that is interesting, and I think that is nice having a couple of different coaches. That, like, there's different styles and flavors almost of boxing. Because one thing I did want to ask you about with the boxing, because it's so, like, limited to just one area where you've obviously, it's just the punching, like, you don't have any kicks to worry about, you don't have grappling and all of this. It must create really specific styles, and obviously you see it on like professional high level boxing. But yeah, we were saying about, like, the different styles of boxing. Because boxing's so unique, I guess, in that it is just the punching. There must be so many different things that you have to develop, so many different attributes, right?
Yeah, of course.
And so every trainer is going to be slightly different, and I guess that will translate to a much bigger difference in just that, right?
It does, 100%. And that's one thing I've experienced myself. So where the amateur boxing clubs back in the day, they'd have just a couple of coaches, and they're just drilling, about 30 kids there. Not just kids, members as well. When I got into it again in my mid-20s, I sourced coaches and I developed my technical ability. Some of them developed my footwork specifically. Some of them developed the punches that I was good at. So you'd know, because you've now taken part in a couple of bouts as well. If you've got a really good jab, they would keep developing that jab for you, because that's really your good shot that you're going to give. If you've really got, you're elusive like Prince Nassim in the boxing ring, they'll work on that, but, they'll develop it more. So yeah, there's so many, it's not just about punching, as we know,
Yeah, that's it, because I think it gets a lot of misconception, and especially when you look at like the lower levels, like people just come in and like rock 'em, sock 'em robots. It's always interesting to me to look at some of the different nuances and like how different people move, because you're doing the same sport. In theory, you throw in like 6 punches, there's only a very limited number of things you can do, but it's so different, like every single person and every style.
Every single person has a different style. There could be pressure fighters, there could be relaxed fighters, there'll be counter punchers, and so you have to prepare yourself for all of that, really.
Yeah. And do you ever look at other combat sports as well, and like pick anything from there? Because obviously there's the punching element comes from a lot of different places. Do you find there's ever any crossover that you can take from there, or have you always sort of been?
Personally, no. I've been so boxing focused, as I was telling you before off camera, is that Muay Thai is another one I've recently got into, because I think not just me, I think loads of people have now.
Yeah, it's blowing up at the moment.
Really, isn't it? And you know, a lot of people have like all talking. You know, being in the club here for the last year or so, people would come in and say, "Do you do Muay Thai? Do you do kickboxing?" And there is a lot of things that are in common, and there's a lot of things you can take away from it. It is different, I would say.
Of course,
but yeah, I think you can take a lot of things away from each other if you use the right processes of developing that.
You're not just blindly picking random things.
That'll put you in trouble, I reckon, in the ring.
Oh yeah, I think that's what happened to me largely as well in the fight on your promotion. That was. I had to hunker down a bit.
No, I think I actually enjoyed. That was changing the subject. Everyone voted that fight like fight of the night.
Oh yeah, I was buzzing for that. Yeah, my brother texted me that. I hadn't seen that. I was
it was like it was good. You had everyone off their feet and everything.
Well, I had a very sore head, so I was glad at least something come out of that, because there was a lot of damage taken to the head. I'm glad for them big gloves.
Rematch?
Yeah, why not?
There we go.
But interestingly, actually, that is one thing I wanted to ask about. With obviously you switched to the semi-pro.
Yeah.
You said it was largely the same. Is there differences in rule sets and things like that? Glove sizes and bits?
Yeah, there is. Like white collar, it was mainly designed. I don't know if you're aware about. You probably are. White collar started in America. Two office guys wanted to try boxing, and they went in, and from there it became a corporate thing. So many years ago, even especially when I started, it was like it was a corporate function. So everyone would book in tables. It'd be a dinner night. It'd be a lot of charity going on, and everyone would have to use 16-ounce gloves, and they would have to wear head guards.
Right. Yeah.
They would have to wear head guards. Over the years, that's changed. I think guys like me have come into the scene where we couldn't really go into the pros, which is very difficult to get into anyway. And they thought, well, let me stay at this level. And semi-pros, the only difference is you can use 8-ounce gloves.
Right.
You can use 10-ounce gloves. There's nothing really stopping you from using anything. But I'll say it's not really regulated as such. If you know what I mean. There's no license, so it is unlicensed. But we as promoters and coaches, we have to take it upon us to make it as safe as possible. So there are. I mean, on my next show, there are 2 fighters who are quite experienced, and I've always used 16-ounce gloves. Maybe not the head guard, but they said, "Can we use 12-ounce gloves?" And I was like, "I'm gonna have to think about that and come back to you."
Yeah, sure. Yeah. Well, especially for boxing, I guess the smaller gloves, the amount of punches that you're taking because of the style of it, that's, I guess, the concern. Yeah,
I mean, a lot of guys on white collars or semi-pros, if you want to call it, they are experienced. But again, even I'm talking for myself, you're not a professional boxer.
Yeah, that's it. It's not your life, is it?
Yeah, so you're going to have to accept that, and you're going to have to realize, the professional boxers, that is their day job. They're in it every day. They're working on tactical stuff. They've got coaches, they've got nutritionists, they've got everything.
Yeah.
Whereas we have to pay for all that.
Yeah.
Unless you've got really good sponsors, that's going to say, you know what, here you go. Don't earn a lot of money out of it. Not to say you can't, but you're not going to earn millions, definitely. Yeah. But yeah, you just have to play it safe, I suppose.
Yeah. I suppose it probably would have quite an impact on the fight as well. Like you'll feel everything much more.
You feel, definitely you feel, especially if they're bigger, like, starting from middleweights above.
Oh yeah, the big boys.
Big boys, you will feel it. It all depends on power as well. And just like you mentioned earlier on, there's lots of different things that just punching. There's conditioning training that you'd have to do. There's strength and conditioning training that's available these days. There wasn't much 10 years ago, I would say, in strength and conditioning. I have a strength and conditioning coach, and as soon as I started doing that, I started getting a couple of knockouts.
Right.
And I used to fight at 55 kilo. So I was really low, and I would be allowed to use 10-ounce gloves. But if I was 55 kilos and I was using 16-ounce gloves, it's safe and you're supposed to, but that fighting quality is not going to be there.
It's totally different.
Yeah.
That is interesting, because, I mean, did you have a preference? Did you prefer fighting the big gloves or the little gloves?
I can't fight. I've got small hands, Tom. So as soon as I used to fight in 14s, and then again, as I was picking up my experience, I asked my promoter, I said, look, I want to fight in 10s. And he quite rightly so allowed it, because I had a same level opponent as well. Went in and it was like, I felt like I was somewhere else, do you know? Because I trained with 14s. You can't really spar with 10 ounce.
No,
But at the fight, it was like I had nothing on.
Yeah.
Do you know?
Yeah, I had that the same. Well, in kickboxing, I fought 10s as well.
Yeah.
And I really noticed the difference, because I'm not a very powerful guy.
Yeah.
But I'm like, I'm getting much more reaction out of this with the 10s on than I do with anything else.
Well, you're just hogging them on, isn't it?
Yeah, that's it.
Like, you know, the gloves we put on you on your fight.
Yeah.
In fact, like, I know they're heavy, but again, you know, it's at a beginner's level, and you've got to.
Oh yeah, 100%. And especially like you say, no one's there to like change their life. Like they're not going to be a pro. That's it. Yeah. It's an awesome experience. Like it's such a cool opportunity, and just to get like a flavor of that, even if you do like one fight ever in your life.
Yeah,
like
it's a memory that you take on, and that's something I took on. And you know, when I have, you know, someone like yourself come in and they want to experience it, I want to give you how it would actually feel in the professional world. You know, you have your weigh-ins, you have a face-off, you get your posters. You know, when you're fighting as well, you've probably seen your video.
Yeah.
You know,
We've
got 3-4 cameras there with commentary, picking up all the angles. So we want to give you that experience, and we want you to, you know, keep it as a memory. You know, in the future, you know, you can say, look.
Yeah, I did that.
I've stepped in the ring.
Yeah. No, it's awesome. And yeah, you are right. Like the production quality and everything that you guys put into it at Undisputed is wicked. Because I've done a few others and like fought on a bunch of different promotions, but like that was really, and watching it back on YouTube, I didn't even realize there was commentary or anything. I was like, who are these guys?
What's going on here? Yeah.
I didn't even see them.
Tom scored a really good jab there. No. We want to maximize the experience level and the quality. So it's not like I say before. This boxing club was set up for a reason from past, and again, Undisputed was set up for a reason as well. Again, when I used to fight at these shows, I would go in. Sometimes it would be really stressful. So our job is at Undisputed to make it less stressful. So that's why we're very clear, and you've been through it now as well. We're very clear with the rules, what's going to happen. We lay out all the policies about, you know, getting there on time and what gloves you're going to use. So there's no surprises at the end. Even who you're going to fight, you're going to see that person. So I think because it's boxing in the day, and you know, nerves do kick in. So.
Oh yeah. I'm cacking it. Don't worry. every time before, I'm cacking it.
There you go. So, but you've done it, and if I can ask you, you know, you've already told me how you felt, and that's good. I actually, on the first show, I actually took part.
Yeah, I saw that. I was going to ask you about that as well.
Yeah, I stopped fighting last year, and then what happened was, because it was the show, I wanted to take part, and I called one of my old opponents. I said, "Listen, I'm doing this. We've done a bit of charity work, but the main reason I wanted to take part, I wanted to experience the venue first.
Cool.
And I wanted to see it from, you know, my point of view, how it would feel for someone. Everything that would be going wrong, would, you know, things go wrong on the day, night. I wanted to see how it would feel. I wanted to see how boxers are feeling inside the venue. I want to see, you know, how the ring's getting into the venue, all the ring walkouts. I think for boxers or anyone taking part, the ring walkout is the main thing for them, basically. Because they've got their own music. That's your 45 seconds of stardom, you know.
Yeah, that's it. That's your moment.
You know, and we want to make it the best. So I experienced all of that from the first show. So it wasn't really, you know, to rank up the record or anything. Like I said, I stopped fighting, but I wanted to know so I could fix the problems going forward.
That's a super interesting way of doing it.
Yeah.
But that must have been a nightmare for you to not get involved with like other stuff. Were you like solely
involved?
You were you're doing it?
Like, yeah, I didn't know how I did it actually. So I put myself on for, I think it was fight number 9. I think we had about 12 fights on the first one.
Oh, you weren't even headline or
no,
you were just somewhere in the middle.
No. I did. One thing I don't like, I know it's my show and so on, but I don't like taking all the glamour for it.
Sure,
that's not for me. My job was there just to experience, and I said, like, guys, I think a lot of the team thought, how's he going to do that?
Yeah.
How's that going to work? And I'm like, no, I've got to experience it from start to finish. So I went and set up, helped the guys set up. To be fair, my colleagues like Jack, Sinead, and they did most of it. But you just want to make sure that everything's going smooth.
Being there. Like, you're the man to ask questions to at the end of the day. If something's going wrong, people are looking for you.
Oh, they're going to look for me. I don't want anyone looking for me, you know. But we got a great team. And everyone, everyone rolled their sleeves up, got involved, gave the experience. And I think it was like fight number 6. I went upstairs, got my wraps on, had a quick 10-minute nap, and I was out.
Wow, very cash. I like that. That's slick.
It was, and then I thought, I wrote a lot of things down to, and the next show you took part in it, and if there was any feedback, if something went wrong, I'm sure you'd have said, or someone would have said, but everyone was happy with it. Yeah,
no, it seemed to run real good. It was a really cool venue, actually. I was saying to you off camera again, we were talking about it, but I really liked that venue. And like you say, the walkout right the way around the thing. It was great.
That's your day, that's your time there. So we've got that venue for the rest of the year now. We could have easily gone to a new venue, but we keep the numbers limited because we're going for the quality here, not for numbers, and we're quite picky in who we're going to put in the show and so on. So and that gives you the experience basically,
Yeah, definitely. And I mean, you said you're running a couple more shows this year.
Yeah. So we've on June the 23rd is our next show. Then we've got one in September. We possibly have one in November and December.
Oh, cool.
So we've got so many registrations. We've got so many registrations that I want to try and fit everyone in. And like I say, we're picky not because we want to pick people, but obviously we want to see if everyone's ready. There'll be some guys or girls that come in and they step in the ring, and we know they're not ready, and it's no point giving that person that experience because it's boxing end of the day, and you're not going in there just to look at each other.
Yeah,
you are going to get punched in the face.
It's going to suck a bit.
So we try and say to them, we give them the guide, like, look, come back after a couple of months, go and do these things, and we'll see.
Okay, I mean that's again the super responsible way of doing it. I like that because sometimes it is just a case of okay, you want to do it?
I mean, you're getting hit on the head, you're getting hit on the nose, face, so it's not really a joke, So as I was saying, my main thing was safety, but everyone should experience it. There's a lot of people, they don't understand boxing until you've done a circuit, until you've punched a bag, and until you've sparred someone in the ring. And it's like the bags is not going to punch you back, the pad's not going to punch you back, but here is the real thing. You're going to get punched,
Yeah, definitely. How do you tend to split up the skills training for that? Are you very much like the classic bag and pads and sparring stuff, or do you focus on certain elements more than others?
I tell everyone who, obviously, like I say, on our shows we get experienced guys coming in, and when I say experienced, they've probably had 4 fights, 5 fights. They've been to other shows. I'm not blowing trumpets here about our show, but sometimes they've been to another show and they've had bad experience and so on. So we can when you do a sparring trial here, you've got me overlooking, but there's another 3 people in the gym that's also watching you as well. I'm not going to give the secret away in what we're looking for.
Sure. Because
then everyone's going to... But we very quickly understand what level you're on. Because I have had guys, they've come in and they've said, I've only had 2 fights. And then we research everyone.
Oh, yeah.
And, boxing is a small world, as you know, as well. So you fight, and then it's happened so many times where I found out, this guy was an ex-amateur, and he's had about 40 fights, and he's just looking. There's guys like that out there.
Yeah.
So we know where everyone's level at, and like I say, we're quite new still. But because I've had a good run in boxing, I've got a portfolio of people that are basically, they're experienced and non-experienced and so on. So we try and dedicate a training plan for everyone if they need it. Some guys like yourself, you've got your own gym. We've got you an opponent that's sort of similar level. That's why you had fight of the night, because why? Because you was the same level of boxers,
Yeah, it was a really good matchup.
It was good. Yeah.
Yeah, that's fair. I mean, I like that again. And you are right, like the matchups were all pretty good. Like watching all of them fights, like there was no one where you're like, oh Jesus Christ, like what is that guy doing against him?
Yeah.
It was all really competitive.
Yeah.
And even some like the other way where you look at people sometimes, and everyone's guilty of doing it, where you're like, I wouldn't want to be standing up against him. And it's always the other way around. Always the other guy that wins.
Exactly. There you go. Yeah. And that's how it goes. Boxing, you can't underestimate anything.
No.
You could be the best boxer in the gym and so on, but you just can't do it, because it all boils down to the training that you're doing. You could have good technical ability, you're a really good boxer, but you haven't put the hours of training in. And come fight day, the other guys just prepared a bit more. It's all to do with fitness as well.
Yeah, I wanted to ask you about that, because fitness is obviously such a huge part of boxing, and I suppose again it comes from having that limited area to focus on.
Yeah.
But you were mentioning earlier that you got the strength and conditioning coach and how that's changed.
Yeah.
Because that's really blown up over the past, you say, probably decade or whatever, of it being much more accessible.
Yeah.
How important is that, and how much training do you tend to split up, skill and technical stuff versus?
It all depends, right? So, like I say, it depends on what you're doing with boxing. For myself, I was quite serious, and I wanted to fight, and I looked for promoters where I would get good fights and not just go in and I've got a record of 10 wins and someone's got a record of 2 wins. That's unfair. I think it all boils down to the individual boxer, how seriously they take. But really, if you're going to do boxing, you need to get your fitness training in at least 3 to 4 times a week for anything like white collar fights that we do, because it's 2-minute rounds. If you're not fit, that 2 minute is going to feel like 2 hours, and you're going to want to get out there quickly. But you have to balance it. So because I was a bit more serious at it, and I was never getting any knockouts. And I wanted knockouts, because I wanted to be Mike Tyson.
Who doesn't?
Yeah. And the only thing I found that I did not have any power. I not had any power. I had strength, but I had not had any power in my shots. So a friend of mine who was boxing alongside me, he was training, and he had his fight, and I went to do his corner with him, and I looked at him and I said, "Wow, your physique is looking great, and he just went out there, and he was pretty similar like me. He was a bit more heavier than me, but he had good skills. He'd punch a lot, but he was not getting those power shots in." And he said, so my I can mention him. His name is Ibi. He owns Onyx Fitness, and I went to see him, and I said, "This is what I want to do." And my physique totally changed. My boxing got better. I was more grounded in the ring, and every punch that I threw, I could feel it within myself. So I think it's really important to get the strength and conditioning training in. A lot of old school boxers never really used it.
Yeah, that's what I was going to say, because traditionally, I think with boxing, people think of like the long runs and like the cardio training.
Yeah.
But there's not that much that's put on. You sort of do your running and your circuits and things for your cardio fitness.
Yeah.
And then your power comes from smash the bag, smash the pads.
There you go.
But strength and conditioning wise, I don't think there's much focus on it. I mean, what sort of things did you change to bump that up?
So we like I say, I fought at 55 kilos, and the strength training that I was doing. So my coach here, Mark, he's very old school. Okay, he was a professional boxer, very good fighter. But like I say, those days in the mid 90s, they didn't have a lot of boxing science. It was pretty much 12 rounds, go, a bit like Rocky style, right?
Yeah.
And what changed for me was a program was written out for me, and before every camp we would do a test.
Right.
So Iwi's got some nice tags that he puts on your ankles, and you do a jump, and not just one, you do it a few times, and it would measure your power.
Okay.
Right. So you'd measure your power, and then that's it. We start focusing on, building that power. Of course, he's got his own programs that he put, squats, deadlifts, sleds, lots of different applications of training, and we progress that throughout. So we know. I think one of the camps that I did, I started off with 46. The measurement was 46 something, right? I don't know
whatever
it is.
Unit it is.
Whatever unit it is.
I don't know what power would be.
Exactly, and I finished with 57.
All right.
And that was my fight. Like I mentioned, I fought for the Kent belt, and I got a knockout in the second round.
Right.
With that fight, and then one before. Sorry, I missed one. One before that, it was first round, first punch, really went boom, and I was like, what's going on here?
Yeah.
Do you know?
Whoa.
Yeah, so it does help. It's all about, planning, I would say, and having the right coaching.
Yeah.
Again, you just don't find that type of coaching anywhere. You've got to really research what you want. And like he being my strength coach, he's actually an amateur boxer with lots of experience.
Right.
He's a London champion as well, so he knows boxing.
Yeah, he knows what you need to do and what you don't need to do. And
exactly.
Where the focus needs to be.
Yeah.
Conditioning wise, strength
and that helped me. Unlucky for me, it was at the end of my fighting time.
Just figure that out at the last minute.
Man, I thought, why didn't I find all this before? Maybe I didn't look properly.
Yeah,
but yeah, it really changed the way I box.
That is interesting. And so, did you seek him out, or he was a friend of a friend?
He was. So my friend that was boxing, he had the same issues as me. He thought he was carded to fight someone who was really tough, and he knew that he needed strength and some power. So I think he sourced him out, and then once I saw his performance, I said, I need some of that. I need some of that, and I was feeling like great, after. So yeah, it was good.
And have you always had that same approach in terms of like sourcing the right people for your team generally? Like, have you hopped around much? Have you always been like the same team?
Same team. Like I say, two of my coaches here have been with me for 10 years. I did have one or two other coaches in the middle when they weren't available, but I picked a lot of stuff up. So, I picked a lot of different styles up, which is good for me. Because I didn't just stick to the one coach, the one place. So along my journey, what I've done is, like you said before, I picked up a lot of different styles, and then I just stayed on the one that I like. I had a really good. I'm a forward fighter, I would like to say. I don't really back off. I don't like being against the ropes, and I'm quite short, as you know, so I have to keep going in and in and in, and power and my right hand crosses was developed really well, and those are the ones that got me the wins.
Yeah, that's it. You when you, I guess, know your game and your strategy, then you can build everything else around just doing that really well. Yeah,
and it's with experience. The more time you're in the ring, the more experience you're gonna get. I mean, let me ask you, how did you feel on our show on the first round when the bell went off? All this adrenaline. You might have thought, I'm going to do this, and I'm going to go and jab him first. Did you think about all of that? Or?
Yeah, well, funnily enough, some advice that I'd been given from one of the guys on the podcast was like, you don't think about anything else. Just think about your first move. Say it over and over in here when you're waiting for that bell to go. Think about, like, right, whatever you want to do. I'm going to go out. I'm going to move this way. I'm going to go out and just jab him or whatever. So that's all I was doing, is thinking about that. And then from there, I couldn't tell you what happened. No idea what came next. No idea where it was. I had a loose game plan in my mind. It was going all right. I did get a bit greedy and rocked pretty hard a good few times, punished for it. But it was good. But I take your point. It is very...
the adrenaline takes over. So, like I tell everyone, and rightly so, I say to everyone that's stepping in there first, I say, just jab and cross. Don't worry about anything. You're going to get hit in the face. Just jab and cross. Make sure you're breathing correctly. Don't try to do anything fancy. And when you've been hit, don't think I have to get him back one. Wait for it, So, it plays a big part, all of these things. But and I was exactly the same. I remember my first white collar fight. And the guy was very tall. And I've gone in there and I thought, what am I going to do? I just started fighting him. I don't know where I was in the ring. And then the second round came and I sat down and I thought, I don't want to do this anymore.
Yeah.
But I saw all my friends staring at me and I thought, if I don't get up here, they're going to beat me up outside.
Yeah.
And I just went for it. And I don't remember it, to be honest with you. So, but as time went on, as I thought, as I got more serious with the right coaching, and now I coach as well. And I think I picked up an awful lot of experience from these guys, that helps, that I can pass on now.
Yeah, definitely. And I guess that composure is a big element as well. The more you do it, I mean, I've only had a handful of fights, but even the more I do that, the more like calm I am, the more you're able to listen to your corner and like think about what the fuck's going on.
Yeah.
But I'll definitely, I'm not quite there yet, but getting there.
Yeah, just pick your style and I'll go for it. Repetition is the best thing I would advise on. Drilling lots of, there's a lot of people, they just hold the pads up and they'll just call out different combinations. That's good. But call out only three or four different types of combination and drill them. Because as you know, in boxing, it's all reflexes.
Yeah.
When you're taking a couple of combos, you're going to come up. You don't think, right, he's just giving me a straight jab and cross. I'm going to do a jab, cross, left hook. It just comes out, doesn't it?
Right, yes, yeah.
It just comes out. And that's to do with your muscle memory and reflex. So the more time you spend on pads, the better. And the more sparring you do after that, you're going to develop that. So I would say pick one thing next time you fight. That'd be advice, is pick what you want to do and just drill those things for the whole camp.
That's beautiful. Yeah, that's really interesting. Because you're right, it is 100% reflexive. You're not out like, I'm doing X, Y, Z. Yeah. But I suppose so. Just picking that handful of right. This is what I like. This is what seems to work. Yeah, and just repetition.
So I'll ask you. So when you went back to your corner after the first round, do you remember what they said to you?
Not a Scooby. Probably stop getting punched in the head so much.
Yeah. So exactly. So we're so overwhelmed that sometimes, I've had 19 fights, and I can't remember any time in the corner.
You're right, yeah.
I can't remember it. But the only thing that is gonna be good for you is that reflex that you've drilled in through the training. It's that reflex. It might tell you to hold your right hand up, really, really hold. Yeah. You're gonna take that advice on board.
Little things, yeah.
But first 4 or 5 fights, you're not gonna remember it. You're not gonna apply anything your corner tells you.
Right.
Really, it's natural. It's not that you're not listening because you're so overwhelmed.
Yeah. That must be mad frustrating as a cornerman, though.
Yeah, you lose your voices.
Yeah.
Come home and like, I can't talk anymore. Lose your voices. But cornermen, they get passionate. Like I've met your coach as well. I could see him getting in there, and that's how it should be. Yeah. One thing I worked for me was like I would ask my coaches to signal stuff in the ring. So like not really shout out lots of different combinations. So we would be drilling a lot of things like, step back, punch forward. And we know what that is. And he'll repeat that, step back, punch forward. Step to the side, left hook. Keep your jabs up. So code words like that help a lot. Rather than, no, you got to move back, Tom, and then roll under,
Yeah.
So it all depends on who you got as cornerman as well. Like I say, when you're doing a white collar thing, you're not, you might have a great coach, but you haven't built up a good rapport or a good strategic plan, to do what you're going to do, because those things actually help you.
How important is that relationship, between fighter and corner then?
So important, so important. Like I say, Mark was always in my corner during my first, I'd say 7 or 8 fights, and then when he was on a break, I remember having somebody else, and it wasn't the same.
Right.
I trained for it. I mean, I got the win, but I just didn't feel the same. And I think it depends from boxer to boxer, really, how you have that. But we had a really good relationship, but we understood each other.
Yeah.
And I think that's important in boxing, because if you're coach and you don't understand each other, that's a team game gone, isn't it, really? So it's really important to build a rapport and relationship with your coach,
Yeah, especially, I suppose, again, like with boxing, where you're saying everyone's got their different styles. If you've got your 3 or 4 combos that you've been working and these specific strategies or ideas, and you have someone that's just sort of comes in, you know, sort of last minute or whatever. I guess that can play a big factor.
100%, 100%. And again, I'm saying it works. It works for me. It worked for me. Unfortunately, it was much more later that I developed all of that. And then obviously it was time to quit boxing because I'm not getting younger, and it takes a lot of time, to be honest with you. But that coaching is like key. You can't just jump in a boxing ring and think, you know, I'm just going to go and do what I want to do. You know, you can have the opponent that's going to do the same effectively, but really, it's an important factor, Tom.
And one thing I did want to ask you before as well was, you're obviously talking about this strategies and things coming up to fights and things. Do you approach that the same way with beginners, like that focus on repetition and things like that? Or when do you sort of let beginners play and sort of find that style that they like?
I think for beginners, you get 3 types of maybe 4, maybe 5 types, but I'll just stick with the 3. You got one type that come in, they're very confident, and they've like, I just want to do this and so on and so on. They get in the ring and they're like, wow, it's like not good, you know. And then you've got someone that's not so confident, and he's come in or she's come in and they want to box, and you can see that, you know what, this person actually holds the ground. He's not scared. He's worried, but not scared and not going to pull back, but they just need to be developed a little bit more. And then you've got the other one that just wants to have fun, you know, and they don't really want to listen to what you've got to say. For beginners, personally, I keep it very simple. And I say, like I was saying before, listen, it doesn't matter, you know how to pivot out and roll under. If you've not fought before, it's not the boxing, it's not the ring that's going to, you know, your fight. It's the build up to it. You know, you're coming out to a crowd of, I don't know, 500-600 people. You've got cameras on you. You're going to get nervous. You know? You know, I've gone through probably about over 70, 80 fights that I've put together, not just for my show, the show that I was doing before. And I always try to go and speak to people beforehand if I can, or I see how they're feeling before they come out. Didn't you get nervous?
Oh, yeah. But again, the main thing is, like you say, it's the walkout, it's the knowing your family's there.
Yeah,
like
you know.
Once the bell goes, I'm okay.
But it's all of that. But it takes the energy away, you know? It takes the energy away, and that's important. You've got to really keep hydrated. And I won't mention the name, but I had a boxer on the time you fought, and it was like, wow, he's a really good boxer, but he lost really badly. And the reason he done that was because he come to the venue and he was just walking around, greeting and meeting everyone, sat out, and his opponent was having a good long sleep. And he was the more focused fighter, so, you know, and it was only his 4th or 5th fight, so he got too overconfident. So my thing is, look, guys, you can't underestimate it. I would just keep it simple, do what you do best, and just carry on doing it.
Yeah, that focus, I suppose, is so important to have. Like, did you have anything? I know a lot of people, they're sort of all over the place on this. Do you have any like ritual, superstition type things that you have for fight days? Are there any, like, people like to stick to a schedule, I've noticed, of like what they do and how they sort of approach it?
When you say you fight before a fight, or
like literally fight day.
I'm quite. Are you asking about what I would do? Okay, fine. So, I mean, I'm always excited.
Okay.
I'm always excited, and for me, it was like my build up to any fights was really good, because I used to do lots of, you know, videos and promotion videos, and I always had a good following of people that would come to watch. So that takes but I would wake up in the morning and I would get a good breakfast in, and I would just relax. I'll just relax. One thing that works for me, I like a lot of hot towels on my face. You know, when you go to the barbers and you get a hot towel.
Sure, yeah.
And it just relaxes me. That's something I learned before, and I just want to just chill. Don't really want to talk to anyone that much.
Right.
And listen to some music, and there's no other rituals as in, like, you know, I'm going to do specific things or, you know, go there. But I just try and keep, like, you know, even wearing comfortable clothing, not being restricted, just things like that, you know. But yeah, I see what you're saying. A lot of people, they do, you know, Yeah, I've seen some good ones and some
really
you
do see some wacky shit sometimes. You're like, okay, whatever makes you feel better.
Yeah, we just have to that's your thing, you know. Yeah, carry on. Do you have
if it works, it works. Not really, you know. I need to feel it out, really.
Yeah.
But I'm very much with you in that I think it's super important to be like chilled. Yeah. I think anytime I've been sort of left to my own devices and like not many people around and things, then I start to think about it and worry a bit more. I quite like the chilled out, almost like nothing, like you're not going to do it. Yeah. Like you're just having a chat and laugh. Like 1 second, I need to pop into the ring and just take care of something.
Yeah, and there you go. Yeah, I must say you seem to a lot relaxed when you. That's it.
That's what I want. I want to try and not make it too big a thing. And I suppose it depends for different people. Sort of. I think it matters a lot more to other people than it does to me. To me, I want the experience, and I'm just having a go at stuff. I'm not that bothered. Other people, like, they've been working really hard and like boxing is their thing, and that's what they do. So I can see how it would be more stressful. I think I'm quite lucky, and I'm a pretty laid back guy.
Just laid back, like just take care. Like you said, take care of this in the ring and feel it out and so on.
I just need to pop out for 10 minutes and jump in the ring and then done.
Good.
But it's interesting. I think the having like a calm approach is definitely the
I think it's so important to not get over, because it stresses you out. You get overwhelmed and so on, and you know it's not a dangerous sport, but a lot of people think it is, and it can get dangerous if you make it dangerous. You know, not really focused, and you know you have to know what you signed up for. You've signed up to get punched, basically. So don't expect you're not going to get punched. You're going to get punched. And it's just how you deal with that, really.
And that's always what's interesting as well. Like, there's one thing, you can do as much like hard sparring as you like, right? But there's something, I don't know why, someone with all the adrenaline and the lights on you and stuff, it's different, man.
It's so different. Well, that's it. That's what we were saying. You could be the best boxer in the world, and you've been doing boxing training for 2 years, 3 years, but you've not had a fight, but you're a very good boxer, and then suddenly you're in the crowd and you're thinking, I'm not used to this. And your skills and everything's just gone out the window.
It changes. And it doesn't matter. You can make it as realistic as you like in your training.
It hits me personally. Like nothing. Like of course I get nervous. I get nervous all the time. Before a fight, and for me it was like when I'm nervous, I need to go and have a little pee quickly. You know, sometimes, and that's normal for me. So I expect it. But when you're in the ring, and when you've come into the middle, and when the ref is giving you the instruction, that's when it really hits me. Like, okay, you know, this is like, you know.
We're here. It's about to go down.
Yeah. And before all of that, you know, like you get used to it. And the more you do it with anything else, the more you do it, the more easier it gets for you. But it's that because we develop a lot of beginners. You know, we come across that issue where, you know, they're either too overconfident or they're really nervous. And we just ask everyone to be honest with us. You know, if you're really feeling nervous, let us know. We can help you. Some people turn up who are going to fight, and you know they've not eaten properly and so on, and those things. So it's a lot of work behind the scenes that you know you have to take, and you have to really look out for everyone. You know.
Yeah, that's what I've noticed as well. There's so many little things that like you've got to get right for that fight, because you want to be feeling as good as you can for that moment, that 10 minutes or whatever it is that you're in the ring. Like you want to work on that. And like you say, with people eating and stuff. I mean, I was saying I came earlier from some competitions helping corner, and some of our guys, they just hadn't eaten all day, and it's like, you got a couple of hours, go like have something in you. Like just little things like that to get yourself feeling good and feeling confident, I think makes such a difference.
And that's all that matters really. If you're feeling nervous, you've already sort of lost the game, because I can't say the same thing about your opponent, but if they've prepared, it's all about preparation really. That's the main thing.
That is the thing, and I guess as well, so much at the lower level, when there's less technical boxing elements and things to go, it does come down a lot of the time to who's worked hard, who's fitter, who's stronger, who can keep going, who's got the willpower for it, because not all of them are like crisp, clean boxing matches.
No.
I'm putting myself in that category as well.
No, and we know that that's going to happen. and that's what it's all about, is to give someone that opportunity and say, you can do it. And once someone's done it, they've got so much confidence.
Oh yeah, it's a game changer.
Do you see what I'm saying? Yeah, and I've seen guys come and do one show and they just want to do it all the time, and that's good. But also you have to realize that when you keep doing it, it becomes boring as well. And then you start letting your boxing go a little bit because you think this is normal. I'll come back to not underestimating things, and then you take a really hard punch, you fall over, roll over, and you don't want to do it again. But yeah, it's one of those things where if you don't try it, you're never going to know.
Yeah, that's it. And I think I've spoken about it on the pod before, but I'm a big advocate for everyone should try something like that once. Like whatever you're into, try a fight, like a low level, white collar, an interclub, something like that. But get the experience of that adrenaline, get punched in the face properly for once in your life.
Some people like getting punched in the face.
Some people are a bit too into it. But it's something I think everyone can do and should experience.
100%. Yeah, I mean, anyone that does boxing training, I see a lot of people here, our members and so on, and we've got Julian, who's our member. He used to he never really tried boxing. Tried, really good. He was in the same show as you as well, and he loves coming out in his heels into the boxing ring. And he's a really good boxer. He's won all his fights. He's taking a rest on the next one, and he just can't live without you anymore. It's brilliant.
It is one of those things. I think when you feel the rush of it, especially if you win a couple, it does change you a bit, doesn't it?
Yeah. And people use it for different aspects of their life. Like for me, I wanted to do boxing and so on, because I've got my own life and what I do. Boxing assisted it. I was mentally more focused in anything I do. I enjoyed the training, so I was always happy. As when you do combat training, it's so different from just going to the gym and lifting weights. Exactly, and you get a different buzz from it. You get a different, and once you love that buzz, once you feel that and how it's benefiting you, you're never going to stop.
No way. And I mean, like you say, it's so much more interesting and so much more therapeutic. You're having a bad day, you go smash the shit out of something. Great. Who doesn't feel better?
I've come in here sometimes and nobody really knows. I've come in here when it's past midnight. And I'm thinking I've had a tough week. I've come in here, put my gloves on and I've gone at the bag for 30 minutes, on and off, and I feel great afterwards.
Nothing better.
I'm generally a happy person anyway, but this also helps in dealing with normal life situations. And a lot of people that suffer mentally, it's really good for them. And the first place people like therapists refer them to is boxing clubs. Because the circus we do in boxing is totally different from like football circuits, if you like.
Exercising things is so good, but having things like that where you're a bit more hands-on, and also I've always thought the discipline of it is probably really good, because there's a big culture of respect around boxing, right?
100%. Anyone with gloves on is straight away respected. If they use it in the right way. But again, it's discipline, like the mental willpower that you have to put yourself through in boxing. It's like not dismissing football, but when you're in football, you've got 11 other players there, 10 other players there, so you can pass around the ball. You're working in a team. But in boxing, you can't stop halfway and say, "Hold on, let me do my shoelaces." Please. That's not happening. So there's a lot of things that you have to take from it, like discipline and being prepped and ready and so on. But the training is I'm in love with the training. I've always been in love with the training. That's why I'm here doing what I do. And I suppose you love the training as well.
Yeah, very much. Much more than the fighting. The fighting is a practical exercise for me. If I just sit back and train all day, great. That's much better. I like to be able to train and still eat like shit.
I think with boxing, a lot of people lose focus. Like people that have not tried like a fight or something, they're a bit nervous. Like, I don't want to get in the ring. But I've had guys and girls who've watched some of our shows and they've come back and said, I actually want to try that. They trust it.
Yeah.
They've seen their fellow members go into it, or someone that they know, they've asked them, and then it gives them a focus in training. And that's the best thing, because, you know, we can come and just punch the bags 3 times a week and get, you know, and that's brilliant to do that. But there's some that want to, you know, have a goal, and that's brilliant. You know, some want to do it to lose some weight, some want to do it to, you know, gain confidence and so on. So they pick those things and we go for it, you know, and they love it at the end.
And boxing's interesting as well because it's so accessible for like everyone. Like a lot of people look at other martial arts and be like, that's not for me. Like kickboxing, I can never lift my leg up that high, or oh, I don't like the grabbing and the throwing and things. But boxing is like, yeah, I feel like I can do that.
yeah, it's simple. I mean, like I say, it's simple for someone to grasp boxing.
Yes.
I tried kicking a few times, and I very quickly realised that it's not that hard. Especially when you've been, you know, doing combat anyway.
Yeah, you understand how to move.
You understand how to move. But I didn't enjoy it personally as much, because that's probably because I've been doing boxing for so many years. But I think someone that's going to try it and they want to find their feet somewhere, it's good to keep going and trying until you find the one you like. It's not. Is it hard to kick?
Nah, not really. Like some of the fancy shit, but
or roundhouse kick. Have you tried them yet?
Yeah. If you just sling your leg at people, you'll be okay.
Oh, there you go. Yeah, good.
Anyone can do that one. But yeah, no, it is interesting, and I think again the idea of like the mental training of like overcoming those nerves and things. Like go back to your boy Mike Tyson. You hear the story of him like always like he's throwing up in dressing rooms and things before he does it, and like he's nervous as hell. And then he goes out and is Mike Tyson, and it's like you wouldn't expect that from that guy, would you?
No.
But like overcoming that is such an important thing, I think. And like the feeling you get if you are bricking it, and then you go out and do it, and you're like, actually, that was fucking amazing. Like it makes
everyone goes through it, even the pros, and you know, most only see what they see on the telly.
Yeah.
But if you've really been, and I have been, you know, I've been in the behind the scenes with professional boxers as well as you know, boxers like us who just want to try it and move on, and the professional boxers, they actually go through it more than the ones that are trying it, you know, because they know what's in it for them. Some of them, you know, it's a big thing for their career as well. You know, they're doing it for big money and so on.
Yeah,
you know,
that's
it's
life,
a lot of pressure before. So everyone does it. It's normal.
Yeah, well, that's it. I mean, and I think that's pretty universal. I've spoken to a lot of professional and ex-professional fighters across different combat sports on here, and they all say the same thing. Everyone's still nervous. Like it never goes away. It gets better, but never goes away.
Yeah. Especially in the morning when you wake up, like, oh my God, I've got a fight on today. Especially if you know things about your opponent as well.
Yeah.
Do you know? Like at the beginner's level, you know, like I have guys here, so like if they can't, it's like, so you had your opponent who was here, but there was some guys, their opponent wasn't here because of the matching, so we would have to get them from other clubs, but we work with trusted coaches, so we know what the levels are. But even then, you know, someone will come and say, how's my opponent? It's like, just trust us and do it. Yeah, but how can I see a video? Like, I can't really show you any videos because there isn't any videos to show you. Do you know? What about some sparring? I was like, okay, I'll try and get a sparring video, but I tend not to try and show it to anybody because it just puts them off.
Yeah.
Do you know? It puts them off because we that's why we give a brief to everyone and say, listen, guys, you've signed up for this. Even if I've not got your opponent here, we'll find someone that's same match, same level. Because when you show that video, they keep looking at it, and they think,
you
like,
get a bit obsessed.
You know, like, oh, this guy punches really hard.
Yeah.
Actually, it's not that hard, you know?
Yeah.
But yeah, that's one of those things.
Yeah, it's interesting because you hear so many like pro fighters, they're all studying film and all of this and that. And people are like, oh, I've got to do, that's what I've got to do. It's like, don't worry. Like,
just chill out.
Just turn up.
It's a day.
Do your thing.
Yeah, it's just a day. It's boxing, and you know, you're doing something that not everyone is willing to do.
Yeah.
Do you know? And it's boxing, you know, you can go and, you know, get on a parachute and jump off if you want, but boxing is different.
Yeah, it's a totally different type of adrenaline, I think, knowing that you're like, oh, I'm about to go fight that guy.
Yeah, exactly. There you go. Yeah.
And what are the sort of the challenges that you've had then switching from being fighter to now promoter? Well, actually, I suppose first of all, it's probably good to talk a little bit about your promotion. I know we've sort of touched on it, but do you want to introduce the promotion first and sort of tell people about it?
So our promotion's called Undisputed Sports Promotions. We didn't call it boxing promotions because we intend to add Muay Thai, some
you talked about that. Beautiful.
Yeah? So we started that last year. You was on the second one. I
think so. Yeah,
I think you was on the second one, Tom. Yeah, can't remember. It's been so long. I was always involved, like I say, in boxing and so on, and I've gone through these white collars, beginner level promotions and so on. So what we planning to do here is basically give everyone an experience, but a good experience. Again, I always try and deliver something when I've found the bad end of it, basically. And I try and change it because I'm a believer of like someone shouldn't go through it. You know, if I've had a bad experience, I wouldn't want someone else to take that bad experience away. Fair matchmaking and just give that person that attention. So not just like, thanks, Tom, you've come to Undisputed today. Here's your tickets. Try to sell 100 if you can, and I will see you in a few weeks' time. And good luck. We try to get to know you. We'll give you some tickets, and we say try to get, because you need a crowd there. You bring your crowd over, and you have that fight. But then the material that we give you, is the key thing for us. You know, you could do this once. We don't mind. You could be, you know, if you say, look, I want to develop my boxing, we could do that for you as well. So Undisputed was mainly put in place for beginners. Mainly for beginners. And it's for us to guide you through that process. So unlike, can't really name them, but other...
That's all right, we're at point fingers.
Other promoters who I've come across, you know, they will just match you up and forget about you for the next 12 weeks.
Crack on.
You know, try and give you that experience at the end of the day. And Undisputed, soon in a couple of years, we will go into the professional industry, hoping that we can develop it properly. But it's mainly set up for beginners, anyone that wants to try.
Yeah, and that's wicked as well, because there was quite a bunch of beginners, a few people with like a handful of fights, but it was a really good good mix. But so was it literally just you were like, do you know what, I'm fed up of dealing with X, Y, and Z in the boxing. Sod it, I think I can do better.
I thought I can always bring something to the table that's not out there. Firstly being, you know, if you was having a fight, Tom, and you've come, and this is such a big thing, like we've been speaking about it, you know, it's such a adrenaline thing, it's such an achievement. And if I can't give you things to take away from it, it's like, well, why did I do it for then? You know, you've got some filming from your...
some dodgy, like from way at the back on some shit
There's
phone.
crowds all coming in front of you. So, and I've been part of those things where you've taken fight. Now, I've always had, you know, my own camera guys coming in with me when I've gone to these fights. Because I needed material.
Yeah, of course. If you want to market yourself more as like
I needed
serious
material.
fighter.
I wanted to show people what I've done, and not just say, you know what, I'm an expert and so on. I've got proof that I've been through it myself. I've put myself in the ring. I've worked with different promoters. So it was one of those things where Undisputed, when it came about, I was like, no, it's going to be different. You know, we're going to bring people in. We're going to actually get to know them. We're going to have good footage for them, and we can also direct them if they want it. We don't pressure ourselves, pressure you, you know, to take coaching from us or anything like that. We ask you, have you got your coach? Fine. Even if someone didn't have a coach, it doesn't mean that, you know, you'd have to come and be a member in my club or whatever club. It doesn't matter. We will still help you on the night. So it's just the core element of it is to give you that experience, good experience,
just make it more accessible.
And I just didn't find anything like that, because I've had always people used to ring me up and say, "Oh, Bill, how can I get into boxing, or how can I get my kid into boxing, or like, you know, can I get into the shows that you're in?" And then I'm like, "Yeah, fine, I will have a chat." And you can only refer someone, you know, but most people won't get back to you.
Yeah.
Do you know, most people just see you as a number, as a person that's just got to sell tickets and come back.
Sure.
And you know, we try and give you that professional feel. We want you to have that experience of a professional boxer.
Yeah, well, I mean, like I said earlier, you cracked it.
Thank you. Yeah, well, that's good to know.
Like, genuinely, yeah, it's a really, really good promotion. Like, great night, great event. Yeah.
And it's not just on the night you get promoted. The moment you've got your pictures taken here, we're on it, you know.
Yeah. I wasn't prepared for the picture taking, though. Anyone that does sign up, think about that in advance. I was not. Need to do some press ups before or something, you know.
We're still learning a lot of things as well. Like you said about the pictures, we're still learning a lot of things. You know, we just used to, early last year when Undisputed wasn't about, I was part of another organisation. And then it was just like, just do it on the phone. I'm like, no, we need angles. And if you keep an eye on Undisputed, what you'll see is every time it gets better and better and better. You know, every time the quality of production is just going to keep going, because we live in an age where it's all social media and digital.
Yeah, huge.
And we're a business and we want to grow it. So you know, we know what we need to do, and it's not just for the growth. We want everyone to feel special.
Yeah.
It's your day.
Yeah, definitely.
It's not my day. It's your day.
Yeah. I mean, that's wicked, man. I think that's probably a really good way to wrap up. Actually, that's pucker. But do you want to let people know sort of where they can find you, the club, sign up for Undisputed?
Yeah. No, thank
you. Pitch away.
So hi guys. Again, Bill here. Thanks to Tom for taking time out to talk to me today. So you can find us. We're in King's Cross on York Way. www.bilshaboxingclub.com is our club. And if you want to sign up for a fight, you can go onto Instagram, which is quite busy. Undisputed Sports Promo. If you search it up, you'll find it and see what we're doing. And feel free to reach out to us if you need any advice or if you want to take part, or just give Tom a message.
Yeah,
he can
absolutely.
bring you in.
Yeah, no worries. And I'll put all of the links to the website and Undisputed and things like that in whatever bio that people are listening to. But Bill, I really appreciate your time.
Thank you,
it's a pleasure, my friend.
Oh, great stuff. We want to see you back in the ring soon.
I want to. Yeah. I'm game.
Good. That's it. For a Muay Thai fight this time.
Yeah, anything, whatever.
Perfect.
Thank you very much for listening. I really hope you enjoyed that. I had a great time. We covered a load of really interesting topics. So please don't forget to go and show Bill some support. You can follow him on Instagram. Check out Undisputed Sports Promotions as well. If anyone wants to get in touch and they're interested in joining on, I put all of the links in the description below. So just follow on through and you'll find everything relevant there. Don't forget to show him some support, as well as supporting the podcast. Share this with another martial artist. Follow us on Instagram, YouTube and Spotify, all under the same handle at CWAMA Podcast. And make sure to subscribe so you don't miss the next one. I'll see you at the next time.